If you're looking for the perfect gift for this Mother's Day, go to the place where every mom shops. The TDC Home and Building Depots. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to Voices right here on WIN FM 98.9 for Friday, May 12, 2023. I'm Devon Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining the discussion for today. We are live on our social media platforms, so you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, as well as Twitter. And we are also streaming on our website at www.winmediaskn.com. Thank you again for joining the discussion. The numbers to call are 466-0989 or 662-0989. USA and Canada, you can call us at 718-285-6984, 305-921-4619. And for the United Kingdom, you can call us at 033-344-0065. All right, good morning, and we head straight to the phone lines to kick off the program for today with most of an open discussion. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. The phone lines are open, and we're taking your calls here on Voices on WINNFM 98.9. Welcome back to the program. Good morning, guys, and thank you so much for joining the program for today. This is Voices for Friday, May 12, 2023. I am Devon Cornelius. As I said, the phone lines are open, and I've shared the numbers with you so you can call us and be a part of the program for today. An opportunity for you to share your views and opinions on matters of national importance here in St. Kitts and Nevis and things happening across the Caribbean region. As it is right now, a lot of conversation is happening surrounding St. Kitts and Nevis transitioning to a republic. During an interview with the Prime Minister at his roundtable discussions held on Thursday, On Thursday at the Core Resort, the Prime Minister spoke about his trip to the United Kingdom to attend the coronation of King Charles III. And he said that the St. Kitts Nevis contingent also used the opportunity to have bilateral discussions with various ministers of government and UK officials and representatives on, how they can contribute to St. Kitts and Nevis. But the question was asked, where are we as it relates to, our country transitioning to a republic? This was first talked about in September of 2022, shortly after the Prime Minister shortly after Dr. Terence Drew became Prime Minister. And he said that, as we enter our 40th year, we will be looking to transition or begin the journey to transition to a republic. At the discussions held yesterday, the Prime Minister stated that the people will be a part of the process, in a sense. They will be able to decide, and public consultation and all of that, educating the people on the pros and cons, the advantages and disadvantages of transitioning and all of that. And, having a discussion, a conversation, so that people are aware of the entire process. We have some callers on the line, so let's head to the phone lines and we begin taking some calls. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. Call us back at 466-0989 or 662-0989. That's 466-0989 or 662-0989. You can also call us at 718-285-6984 or 305-921-4619 if you are in the USA or Canada. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, caller. You are on the air. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, brother. This is Rasai J. Yes, sir. So we need to pledge allegiance to the AU, And when it comes to being a republic, we have to think about consolidation of values. I was saying yesterday on a talk show that they have in the morning that we need to capitalize on the opportunity we have with Africa, who is opening their arms to us, because we have now become the sixth region of Africa, the African diaspora. Every black person within the African diaspora is a member of the sixth region. And we have a say in all that goes on within the affairs of Africa. Now, what I was trying to say is that we need to invest into mining, gold mining especially. In Uganda, they have just discovered at least $12 trillion worth of gold newly came visible. This gold grows just like mushrooms. And it's also in the DRC as well, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Africa has a lot of gold. It just needs mining. The Chinese is going in there and making a havoc of Africa, like greedy rats. And we out here saying, you just can't go in and take gold as you like, but the Chinese going in there, smuggling in there, and also they're getting some legitimate contracts to capitalize on our gold in Africa. It is a shame that we out here acting as if, well, we cannot find our way. Let us now get involved with the leaders who are ready to do business, and let us spend our money in getting involved into mining. This is what we will do. Some of the gold we will sell it for capital cash. But the most of the gold, we're going to consolidate it into our treasury as a physical substance, as gold bricks being processed. And that is where we're going to base our currency value. By the time we become a Republican, we wouldn't have to be worried about a depleted currency. So we will have the opportunity to have good currency value. We capitalize on the gold that we mine, what we invest into, it will be ours. And that is what we're going to raise our currency value with. Gaddafi wanted to do something similar, but we know as Africans, we have the right, because we are descendants of our people who have been enslaved. We have strong connection to the motherland, Africa, and we need to utilize this opportunity. The Chinese and the Indians and other nations going in there and making contacts with the African leaders to capitalize on that $12 trillion worth of gold that was found in Uganda recently. There's other products that we can capitalize on: coltan, cobalt, lithium. Lithium is a rock that has electricity in it. Can make batteries from it. So it's also cobalt, can make batteries from it as well. Coltan, can make cell phones from it. These are things we need to capitalize upon and get involved with the channels that where we can lodge our investments and then start to consolidate the physical gold structure itself into our treasury to build our currency value when we become a Republican. Thank you very much. And we have to pledge allegiance to the AU to be our support and for military protection. Thanks, I would off the air.
All right, caller, and thank you for your contribution to the discussions that we're having today on Voices and WINNFM 98.9. The phone lines are open, and we are taking your calls at 466-0989 or at 662-0989. If you are in the United Kingdom, you can call us at 033-344-0065. Let's head back to the phone lines, and we'll take some more calls. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, Devon. How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
Okay, I'm glad you're good. How are you and tell me that they find a gold mine in St. Kitts? Eh?
They find a gold mine in St. Kitts where?
Yeah. Because when the Prime Minister, Dr. Joe, take office, one of the public statements that he made is that the country is in red, economically red. And we all know what red means, danger. But yet still, every time he has to go away, he going with an entourage of people. So where is that money coming from to pay for all those people tickets? It ain't Dominico or St. Lucia, they gone, or Barbados or Antigua. Them far countries, what ticket costs a lot of money from here to St. Martin. We know the cost of that in a plane, and we could see St. Martin from in St. Kitts. We could even see Guadeloupe. It depends on how low the tide is and how calm the area is. But those big countries where we cannot see, the cost of the airline ticket and the country in red. The last entourage he moved out from St. Kitts with is 7 of them. 7. And the first one he moved out from St. Kitts with 15, 14 Kittitian and a Chinese. What a Chinese has to do with here? What position, what portfolio that Chinese has? Who fall in who? A lot of politicians, they'll make promises and say they accuse who are there. And when they go in, they're going to do better. But when they go in, they do worse than who they accuse. And when it comes to making decisions for the whole nation, no one man, whether you're leader or follower, supposed to make no final decision unless you had a consultation with the nation and get the majority of the nation decision on that, whatever it is. No leader have no right to go out there and say, well, we're going Republican or Democrat or whatever it is, unless you had consultation with the nation. You ain't gonna work so. So don't give people the impression that their word is final when it comes to that.
Well, he did say that that's not the final stage. The people would have to decide. So they're gonna have the public consultation, and if the people decide that we remain with the British monarch as the head of state, then that's the case. If they decide that we go to
but the plastic has a chemical to make it, and it depends on what heat, the temperature of the heat that you put plastic in. The chemical comes out in whatever you put in the heat there. So it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things we got to dig down and research and get for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to put a cap on those people there who want to dominate all over this place, man. Done with that?
Yeah, Carla, as you spoke about, black people oppressing black people and, like supporting local businesses. I'm all for that, and I agree that, yes, we should support our own.
Right.
Our own. At the same time, we have some people doing business here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and they don't have any manners. They don't know customer service, and they drag their foot and come. And so when people decide to shop outside, maybe that's one of the reasons why. Those are some of the reasons why people do that, because we don't have good customer service. And then when you tell them about customer service, they get vexed with you.
Yeah, look again. Some of them, you're going to a public business service place, okay, and you go in there. Some of them on their own personal phone. They see you come in as a customer. Now, before they tell the person on the phone, okay, I have to do somebody here. I'll call back. Now they're on the phone and you're there watching and they're talking and they're doing the hands again, the signal like where you asking where you want with your hand. That is not good customer service. And when a colored face go in there, a face color different to me and you one, they jump up on the ground and say, can I help you? But me and you face with black look as for Admiral Toyos. What you want? Me no go up so. I mean, come on, they have to be professional in the customer service. Otherwise, they're turning off people. We want to support local, yes, but local has to respect the black just like how they respect the white. Anyway, Devon, I'll come back if anything later.
All right, Colin, thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 11:30 here in the studios of WINNFM 98.9. Voices for Friday, May 12, 2023. We'll take a break to acknowledge our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion for today.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us. TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
When the star them there, we a top man, we take charge. Magnum we drink and we a shell down bars. Blast like a star with some a gal a bar. Overdo it, we take it too far. Take charge, take charge.
We a hot gal, we set the trend. Magnum we drink for the top man then. Wine with the style, no stop from spin. Hot blend, back bend, and take charge, take charge.
Magnum tonic wine for the real star them. Take charge, take charge. Must be 18 or older, drink responsibly.
Welcome back. Let's set to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls right here on Voices for Friday, May 12, 2023. Let's take this call. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Devon. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. And you?
Oh, yeah, giving God thanks, man. Mother's Day coming up. And I was a mother of 3, you know? And the grandmother. Now, I think that they need to add on grandmother to mother, you know. Because nowadays, more grandmother being mother than mothering the children, you know what I mean? So happy Mother's Day in advance to all of the mothers out there, the good and the bad. And all the grandmothers and the auntie and the cousin and the brother and the sister who raise the children or try their best. But yesterday I was here listening. How many questions you asked, too?
3. I think it's 3.
I thought something like 2. Are you there waiting for you to ask the questions? I mean, there were he discussed a lot of items and whatever. He just mentioned and house. Now, Jason asked the question about the size of the houses. Up to now, Dr. Jewett, Monkey Hill, Newtown, Kayan, Deer Bay, Charlestown, Butlers. Up to now, he hasn't answered the question, you know. Do you realize that?
No, I didn't realize.
Yeah, remember Jason asked him, what about the size of the houses? Could you give us an idea? He gone all over the bush. Up to now, you know. Up to now. He has not said, well, the one thing going to be 4x4, 2x4, 10x12. You know what I mean? Or people want to know. Because some people may be forced to take the one-room apartment because of the cost of it and hope that they will be able somehow to extend it. You know, so to me, it was an exercise. And I said, well, we are the other journalists. Because that is the reason. I know who advising him. Just make some kind of a lame statement. He said something that was a bit troubling to me. When I asked about reparation, he made some statement that gave the idea he's not interested. He says, I don't have the victim mentality. You recall that statement?
Yes.
But I don't want to accuse him, you know. But obviously he's not interested. All he wants is somebody to say, yes, we do it. Well, I don't have the victim mentality, but darling, you are a victim, you know? Whether you believe you are a victim or not. And some people think it's money and all of that. Well, what they got? And he even contradicted himself because he said, well, these people got, well, what did we get? The slave owners got. All kind of people got. But we did not get. So shouldn't we be getting? He gave the impression that, well, some people have gone a little too far. All that he wants is some excuse. Well, while he wants an excuse, the people who inherited all of the bounty have added to it since. And we are here struggling to do something. That's why the government has to be doing so much. Because they let us go empty-handed. Some of them, they need to say, well, take the little old house that you are living in. No. If you want to stay on the estate, you got to work for free for 4 years. 4 long years, you know. I have to put in your whole lifetime. When they set the people free, they were almost naked in Bastia around it because they used to give them clothes maybe once a year or twice a year. They stopped giving them clothes, they stopped paying them. I mean, and he thought it sound cute. He thought it sound cute. He better watch it. Because somehow I don't think he understands the plight of our people. I notice he's very sympathetic to the Cameroonian, but he's not sympathetic to us. And I am under the impression that he's going to allow them to stay. I think it is already decided that they're going to stay. Well, if they have skills or whatever that we could use. Now, notice he went and he interviewed them. Did he interview the Haitians? Did you ever hear him say he interviewed the Haitians? He visit them?
I don't know if he has. I don't know.
No, I've never heard him say so. You know, so I said to myself, I was very disappointed when he said, well, I don't have the something mentality, the victim mentality. So therefore, he's saying to all of you who are out there, looking for reparation, not just an excuse or an apology. An apology, you're suffering from victim mentality. So I don't know what is the use of having a national committee on reparation. They might have shut it up, shut it down. You know, and so this thing with the housing, there is no doubt about it. The money is coming from China. The investor said so on the radio. By the way, did you check it out?
No.
Yeah. When they were talking about going into Guyana, the man who is financing the Trinidadian, right, is an Indian. The money is coming from India. So I don't know. That is why he could say he ain't got a victim mentality, because he doesn't care that what we are doing, we already hand over the retail distributed sector to the people. They brought them, you know. And now they're going to bring them to build houses that they own until we pay for them. The houses will not belong to the bank, you know. The houses will belong to the investor. And when asked what is in it for them, the ambassador said part of the mortgage payment. Well, how much is it? What percentage do they expect to get? So we are exploiting our own people. Dr. Joe's got to learn, because there are people around him who understand exactly what they're doing. And to the brother who called him about the gold in Africa, those of you who have a cell phone, because I use my cell phone, I was listening to a video called Gold Mafia, the Gold Mafia. See if you can find it. Who is allowing the gold to go, smuggling out the gold? Who is assisting? The government people. They cut. And the people in, where did us go? In Arabia. Not Arabia, but you know what I mean. The country that we usually go to. the gold, they ship the gold down there, and it is down there, it is smelt. And then they send things to Switzerland also. See if you can find it anything, my boy. Because a lot of us have this dream, we're going to Africa, and for you to invest in gold, you got to have money, because they have to mine it. Gold is not on the ground picking up, So you got to first start to make an investment. And a lot of the people, as they say, the mafia, the leaders, they allow the gold to be smuggled out, their own gold. And they get a part of it.
All right.
So I think a lot of us, we're dreaming. Africa got this, they ain't got it for you. They ain't got it for me. Unless we are able to come up with the money to invest. We are dreaming. So all the best, Devon.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
as I said, I was listening for you. I said, well, Navy set didn't come. It was just 3 persons, 3 journalists in a big country. Nobody from
that is how it's different from a press conference. The press conference is all of the media houses, so they're doing it on a rotation basis.
But it don't make sense.
That is how it is designed. So each
hold on,
so that each media house. That is how the roundtable discussions are designed, where they would send out the invitation to the various media houses, and they will do it on a rotation basis. So, WINNFM, ZIZ, Van Radio, all the media houses in St. Kitts and Nevis receive an invitation. It is up to them whether they want to be there. And as I said, it's a rotation basis. I'm just saying this because I know it. It's a rotation basis. So, at the next interview, you will see different representatives. At the last one they had yesterday, we were there because other media houses indicated ahead of time that they won't be able to make it because of other commitments. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Hope all is well. Let me say quickly on the backdrop of our elder sister, the last caller. My elder sister, let me add, even if we have the money to invest, it means nothing, because almost all of the resources there in Africa, they are already owned and controlled by Europe. They have already split Africa to how they want it, right? Look at South Africa. Only because of the quote-unquote black being in the majority, that's why you have quote-unquote a black face in office. The blacks don't own South Africa. That's why they're so frustrated down there. Their lives ain't no better off to how it was before the ending of apartheid. It's worse because the major infrastructure has already been controlled and owned by Europe. So right now here, the frustration of the blacks, they're turning on their own kind, Nigerians and so on. So now, you have it or not now. You're going to have a big bam-bam, as one caller normally say. They will not allow us to go there and do that. All we have to do is just wait, because there's going to be a time appointed. Can't push it. Time appointed for their end. And it's going to come. But it's the Almighty that is going to bring it to that end. We are too rebellious and disobedient, stiff-necked people. We cannot continue doing our own thing, disregarding the laws of the Almighty, and think that He's going to bless us in disobedience. Mr. Moderator, have a blessed day.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution. We'll continue taking some calls. Let's take this caller. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. It is 11:45 here in the studios of WINNFM 98.9. The phone lines are open. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devon.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Devon, you know, a lot of us don't seem to understand the depths of what is going on in Africa. And the lady just alluded to enlightening some of us, but yet most of us are not aware. Now, South Africa is run by two families, the Oppenheimer and I think is the Jenkins, who exploit most of the gold and the diamond to the UK, on the UK stock market. Now, this is spreading throughout the whole of Africa. Now we have the Chinese, and Devon, make no mistake, the Chinese is doing what they're doing in Africa and they're doing it globally because they are here. You heard what our contractors been saying. Who is behind these houses that are supposed to be built under a contractor from Trinidad? But who is behind the contractor from Trinidad? You see, we have to go deep because they are deep. And the system is skewed against us. Devon, I listened to the round table yesterday, and I don't know what to make of it. It sounds like a repetition. And Mrs. Henry highlights that the Prime Minister says that he is not a victim. Now, note that he said he is not. He didn't say St. Kitts and Nevis is not a victim. Now, what does that say to us? Are we paying attention to words? The Prime Minister says he is not a victim. Oh, for peace sake. When are we going to wake up? Because it seems to me that is more catching, or it is more highlighted to go to the UK to witness the coronation of a king than to be more forceful to becoming a part of the African, whatever bank that is now coming into the sixth region. One of the callers, I think he was the first caller who spoke about the mineral that is on the continent, Devon. I've been saying all along, it is yours and mine. But because Europe is more attractive than America, we don't see Africa because the picture was painted that Africa is a dark, poverty-stricken continent. And that is affecting us. Now, the lady who says that, you know, most of these minerals are owned by Europe and now China. It is a fact, Devon. It is a fact. And what makes me weep is that our leaders on the continent and in the diaspora, they are also greedy and gullible. Because once they see what is dangling in front of their eyes, they forget the people. And what is dangling in front of our eyes, Devon, is the crumb that is falling off the table. Our leaders don't see what is on top the table. And this is why this system, we are at war on every level, because they're not going to allow us to come up to take over what is rightfully ours. I said before, Devon, I'm going to finish now, that if you're familiar with the scripture, the story between Esau and Jacob, that Esau sold the birthright and lost the inheritance, that is us. The story, when we read the scripture, we need to see ourselves, because the story of the Bible is an African culture. It was tampered with by these creatures who gave us what they gave us in King James Version, and we swallowed it wholesale. I am saying to us, Devon, we need to see the scripture in reverse. And don't tell me that we are all one race, because we are not all one race. Genetically, we are not all one race, Devon. Story for another day. Thank you for hearing me.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. Let's take a quick break to acknowledge our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussions here today.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
When the star them there, we are top man, we take charge. Magnum we drink and we are shell down bars. Blast like a star with some gallopers. Overdo it, we take it too far. Take charge, take charge.
We are hot gal, we set the trend. Magnum we drink for the top man them. Wine with the style, no stop from spin. At blem, back bend, and take charge, take charge.
Magnum tonic wine for the real star them. Take charge, take charge. Must be 18 or older, drink responsibly.
Enjoy the convenience of getting all your documents in one place. At the TDC Copy and Print Center on 4th Street in Basse-Terre, we do just that. We offer document formatting, graphic design, and copy and print services. Our team of professionals truly understand all your needs, whether it be administrative, professional, academic, or personal. You bring it, we deliver it with quality every time. Visit the TDC Copy and Print Center today in the TDC Mall on 4th Street in Basse-Terre or call 465-2511. Your copy and print specialists are waiting to serve you.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow! Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the program. Let's head to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning. Okay.
I on the air.
Yes, caller, you're on the air.
Okay, good morning. Devon.
Yes, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Since yesterday morning, on that morning talk show that Jamster and the others usually host, I tried making a point. You have one caller who keeps alluding to the African Kingdom and Echo 6 diaspora movement. I think though he seems to know a bit about it, he is not actually touching on all the points that the AKU, that the African Kingdoms Union, and Echo 6 are trying to do. The discussion just now borders on how much of the resources of Africa are owned, operated, how should I say, exploited by European and other forces. But I think that your listenership should do some digging research into the AKU and Echo 6 and see how far they've come, what they've been doing to expand not just Africans in Africa, but any person who lives anywhere in the global diaspora who has melanin and who claims to be descended from, African genes, African bloodline. Whether you are descended from former slaves or you were those who crossed the Bering Straits timeless eons ago. But the fact of the matter is that Echo 6 is now reaching out to the rest of the world for wherever we are settled, wherever we are, as long as we can look towards Africa as our father and motherland, to come on board. And countries are signing up. People are signing up. They also are given a stipend. The Echo 6 is linked to the African Kingdom's Lumi, which is their own form, not of cryptocurrency, a currency that, even though traded online, is backed by the African sunlight and African resources from the soil, from the ground, with earth, gold especially. So I think that the listeners should build well to research that and see. Then they also have to look at the fact that CNN even television stations and bloggers in Russia, Switzerland, France, other European countries have featured programs that highlight Africa and what is being done and invented and made and created in Africa. Africa has a big burgeoning growing market and manufacturing sectors that are now making worldwide headlines almost daily. So we are not as backward and as not in charge of our own resources in all the African countries as the world wants us to believe. That is the point I wanted to make for today.
Caller, thank you so much for that. Your contribution to this program. We want to get some more. We want to get some more callers in. It's 11:56. We'll break at 12 for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation for today. Okay, let's head back to the phone lines, and we'll take some more calls. Caller, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good afternoon. Good morning, Brother Devon. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
2 afternoon. How are we doing, brother? How are we doing?
I'm doing fine.
Well, I just tuned in because I tuned in a while ago, because I went somebody some business and sweet back home. No, Brother Devon, I always want to thank God for the Federation of Think It News, A country we're born into and live in. Love my country. And I want to thank God for our country, that we black people living here and trying to survive by reaching out to each other. I believe that's the motivation supposed to be black people. But I see that. But man, let me tell you something. No educated black man or educated white man gonna do what they got to do in this world to get where they want, or whether you're Chinese, Indian, or whatsoever. Now I want to know in Africa and in our little Think It Nevis, we got million here down here. We got million here all over the whole world where black people live. So I want to know if black people ain't see the white man or the Indians or whosoever, Chinese or whatever, coming in and taking over the country and they have the money to invest to help the people. So whether they love the country or not, we can't blame the Chinese. We can't blame the Europeans. We got to blame our educated black man who control and lead our country. We got to blame them. Because if them allow them to come in and do what they got to do what they want to do. I do not agree with a lot of things the Chinese come here and do. And I do not agree with a lot of business Chinese come here open up. But you know why? One day I had a bunch of banana. And I went in town, and I went to a Chinese supermarket. And I asked the guy, I told him I got a big bunch of banana home. If they buy banana. He said, yes, bring it. Right? When me and bring it, I asked him how much a pound. I tell him I sell for $2 a pound. He tells me, no, dollar a pound. But the man, he gonna buy for me $1 a pound, right? And maybe sell it to $3.50 a pound. You see what a high they have with? And it was in front of me, right? But the man, I cut a bunch of banana.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into the market with it and sell it for $2 a pound. And I make $160 out of the banana. You understand what I mean, man?
I'm listening to you.
So we allow them to rob us and do us all kind of things. And I have nothing to sell them. I don't care. I have nothing to sell Chinese. Anything I get, anything I plant and I get, whether meat or whatever, animal, them, I have nothing to sell them. Because they only come in here to rob us and treat us. When they come in first, they was good. And all the blame got to go to our black leaders, any part of the world, and our black millionaires, them who got the money. If they come invest with our people and try to empower our young people, the black-owned black people, what do you think will happen? That's the way it's going to be. So I just want to know if when Christ was giving out common sense and understanding and knowledge, where our black people was. Because it seemed to me how them attack like the white people, the whole journey and others just talk. It look like the white people got all the knowledge and black people don't have none. That is how they attack. Because they're coming and say, oh, they're coming in and they're coming in this, they're coming in and that, they're doing this, they're doing with this, and they're doing with that, and they're robbing us and they're doing this, that. Where is our knowledge? Where is our understanding? Where is our sense? How we can allow them to do that? How we black leaders could allow them to do that? So you can't blame them. You got to blame our leaders. We live in a democratic country. Think it's a democratic country. We're in a communist country. We got a constitution here, and the constitution go out to investors to come in and do it and build and do whatever they want to develop the country by whatever. You understand? So I don't see this thing about black the white man them come in and they descend to that and they cheating us this and doing us that and doing us that and doing us the other. It's we against ourselves and we don't even know. Okay, then what are they done?
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. We're at the top of the hour, so we'll take a break now for the midday news, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation right here on 98.9. Stick and stay. I'll be right back.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured. Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the WINNFM Midday News, I am Kevon Brown.
I am Devon Cornelius.
Our top stories.
The people will be asked this question, says Prime Minister Drew about St. Kitts and Nevis transitioning to a republic.
United Nations now involved in a case of Cameroonian refugees in St. Kitts. Guyana opposition wants to meet the EU electoral reform team. Prime Minister Gaston Brown reacts to cease and desist letter from Angela Bassett's lawyers. Internationally, Ukraine says it has recaptured ground in Bakhmut, a rare advance after months of grinding Russian gains in the eastern city. Russia denies Ukraine's claim. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador to South Africa has accused the country of supplying weapons to Russia despite its professed neutrality in the war in Ukraine. Now the details.
I would say I don't have a timeline. As I've said to them, the people will be asked this question, and I think the people will provide the answer as well. And so I cannot give you a timeline.
That was Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew in response to a question about his administration's plans to remove the British monarch as St. Kitts and Nevis's head of state.
But I think I would be able to say that during this time, the people will be asked to discuss this. It's critical. I mean, we have gone from slavery all the way up to this point, and the question of where do we go as a nation will always be asked, and it is being asked. However, in pursuing that, the people decide that that is what they want to pursue. St. Kitts and Nevis will still remain a member of the Commonwealth and will still be a developmental partner with the UK, and we will still have the opportunity to strengthen our bonds with the UK. So there are two different things, really. One does not directly influence the other.
A St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service article penned September 20th, 2022 said, quote, in his national address on St. Kitts and Nevis's 39th anniversary as a sovereign nation on September 19th, Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew said St. Kitts and Nevis is on a journey to becoming a republic. Our nation is much closer to true independence than not. As we approach 40 years as an independent nation in 2023, we also set our eyes on transitioning into a republic. We trod on towards that goal of self-determination and self-actualization, where we truly encapsulate our sovereignty, Prime Minister Drew said. English-speaking former British colonies in the Caribbean that have transitioned to republics are Dominica, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and most recently Barbados. Several others have signaled their intentions to remove the British monarch as head of state. These countries include Belize, the Bahamas, Jamaica, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Kitts and Nevis. Charles is sovereign of 14 Commonwealth realms in addition to the UK. The Commonwealth is a voluntary association of 56 independent countries, almost all of which were formerly under British rule. In the run-up to the coronation, representatives from 12 Commonwealth countries joined forces to call on Charles to acknowledge and apologize for the impacts and ongoing legacy of British genocide and colonization. In early April, Charles expressed his support for the first time for research into the historical links between the British monarchy and the transatlantic slave trade. Buckingham Palace said the royal household would help with the academic project by offering access to the royal collection and the royal archives.
The United Nations is now involved in the case of the 14 Cameroonians currently on St. Kitts after being rescued off the coast of the island, having left Antigua for the U.S. Virgin Islands at the end of March 2023, says St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister. According to the Prime Minister, United Nations officials are expected to assess the 14 and present the report to officials outlining the way forward.
I went and visited them, the Cameroonians, for full disclosure. I wanted to know who they are. Why are they here? Interestingly enough, when I met them, they are well-educated people. I went in, I know Cameroon speak French and English. I speak a little French to see. I'm not as fluent in French as I am in Spanish, I know. And they are bilingual. Not only that, there are teachers among them, lawyers, business people, there are IT specialists and so forth. These people, the Cameroonians are professionals from what I picked up and what I gleaned. Because if you tell me something, I will ask 2 or 3 questions to see if you even have an idea. They're well-educated people. Just the way they speak English, their grammar, you can tell if a man is educated based on his grammar. And then you hear them speak some French. And then you say, okay. So I picked up that. However, I said that we will get the UN involved. The United Nations is now involved. And they're going to start their own assessment. I think it's today or tomorrow. And from their assessment, they're going to give us a report. And then based on the report, we will take our final action.
Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, made those remarks during the May 11th broadcast of the Roundtable. Dr. Drew also shared that the bodies of the 3 recovered from the ocean while rescue operations were underway for 32 individuals have still not been claimed by family.
There are three bodies here of those who died. I have said to them, if nobody claimed the bodies, and we'll ask the UN to help us to see if there are family members in the United States who can claim the bodies, we will find out what their religion is. If they are Muslims, we'll get a Muslim imam to come in and bury them. If they are Christians, then we are a Christian society. We'll get a pastor to bury them. But we'll make sure that they're buried with the greatest of respect and in accordance with the religion that they practice. So we are going to pursue that as well. So when the UN give us the assessment, we'll know who they are, the religion they practice, and give them a burial befitting of a human being. We are civilized people, and irrespective of all these human trafficking issues, we will act like civilized people.
The 14 individuals were set to be repatriated to Antigua and Barbuda, their last port of legal entry. However, Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister the Honorable Gaston Brown said it would be ill-advised to have them sent back to his country, saying, quote, "Why bring them back when they are likely to smuggle out of the country again?" End quote. Brown said the challenge was that some people claimed that sending them back to Cameroon would likely result in their death. The Antiguan Prime Minister said that he asked the French ambassador for assistance from France to get the Cameroonians back to their native land. In April, 9 of 16 detainees escaped the detention facility they were housed in, with all but one, Nicholas Santana Orichi, back in police custody. Orichi, a citizen of Antigua and a Dominican Republic native, is still missing. In regional news, Guyana opposition wants to meet the EU electoral reform team. Guyana News Source has that story.
The opposition, while endorsing the recommendations made by the European Union Observer Mission following the last elections, has expressed its willingness to meet with the EU team currently in Guyana to assess whether progress has been made on electoral reforms. Opposition Member of Parliament Sherwin Holder, during a press conference today, said the return of the EU Election Observer Mission is most welcomed, and the opposition stands ready to make its case for a clean voters list.
In our expected meetings with the EU follow-up mission, we in the opposition intend to make the case for a clean voters list and the use of biometrics for voting. We remain skeptical that the current photo ID and verification process can reduce the risk of fraud inherent in a bloated voters list. We also intend to demonstrate where the recent amendments to ROPA are cosmetic and ineffectual.
The opposition MP also said the opposition is also ready to advance agenda on electoral reforms.
Electoral reforms in Guyana have become increasingly necessary as GCOM continues to shirk its constitutional responsibility to deliver credible elections and as the public's confidence in elections continues to erode.
According to Holder, preparations for the 2023 local government elections have amply demonstrated that the electoral process is still prone to political manipulation, corruption, and fraud.
They have further exposed an elections commission that has been politically hijacked is poorly chaired, is administratively unfit, and is unaccountable to the people.
Holder told the press conference that the opposition has reviewed the 26 recommendations made in the final report of the 2020 EU Election Observer Mission and found no difficulty in supporting those recommendations. The Observer Mission underscored the need for the complete overhaul of the Elections Commission through a consultative process, the need for a thorough updating of the decade-old register, and also the need for clear written procedures for the transmission and tabulation of election results.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown reacts to cease and desist letter from Angela Bassett's lawyers, ABS Antigua reports.
The government had announced last week that the high-profile actresses Angela Bassett and her close friend and fellow star Dawn Lewis had agreed to serve in the voluntary role as tourism ambassadors. Bassett's image and biographical data has since been used in association with the role, but her lawyers have said not so fast. Fox Rothschild LLP says while she's honored to be considered for this distinction, the tourism authorities should immediately cease and desist from using her name, image, and biographical information in association with the designation of tourism ambassador until the parties have reached a mutual agreement.
Yeah, I think that the tourism officials, in their exuberance, would have acted prematurely by utilizing her name and her biodata, as well as the images. As you know, you deal with an international star, and invariably you have to seek their formal approval.
The Prime Minister says while the role has been agreed to on both sides, the formal agreement has not yet come, so tourism officials ought to have waited.
Would have had dinner with Angela, and she indicated a willingness to serve, and I don't think there's any real issue there other than they may recognize there's some potential challenges that could arise if we do not complete the documentation and the terms of reference and so on prior to any such usage of her intellectual property. And again, intellectual property has value. So I don't think that even if she chose to be an ambassador for the country, I don't know that we have the carte blanche right to utilize her images, all of her intellectual property. I mean, we have to get specific permission. So anyhow you look at it, I think they acted preemptively and again, not with any malice, but perhaps ought to have known better.
I asked the Prime Minister how the issue will be resolved.
What I have done is that I've asked the officials to get on to the attorneys and to try and resolve this issue as soon as possible. But what I can say here, I do not believe that there was any deliberate attempt by tourism officials to violate. Again, as I said, they acted, presumptuously and preemptively without first allowing the modalities to be completed.
The head of government does not expect this will have an implication on the appointments. A formal agreement is to be unveiled concretizing the appointment of both actresses and outlining the specifics. Prime Minister Brown says he does not want to be preemptive about when that will be completed, but says the public will be kept updated. The aim is for both stars to use their influence and reach to boost tourism marketing in the country. Prime Minister Brown, in the meantime, is seeking to allay any public concerns.
I don't think there's any fundamental issue here. And again, tourism officials are expected to get on to Angela's attorneys and just to reassure them that, yes, there were some missteps here, but matter will be resolved. There'll be no such preemptive use of her material, and that her intellectual property rights will be fully respected.
We now bring you these international reports.
Ukraine says it has recaptured ground in Bakhmut after months of the fiercest fighting for the city. The country's deputy defense minister said they'd advanced 2 kilometers in a week. While Moscow state military bloggers have reported the Ukrainian advances as well. We've also heard from the head of the Russian Wagner military group. He's accused regular Russian troops of abandoning their positions in Bakhmut. The Kremlin, it's denied any reports of Ukrainian gains. We've managed to speak to the Ukrainian Army Command on the latest developments. Here's what they told us just before we went on air.
Over the past day, Ukrainian forces have managed to push the enemy back on the northern and southern flanks of the Bakhmut front line, gaining from 250 meters to 1.5 kilometers. Those were our attacks within the defense operation. This is not the big counteroffensive. They have huge losses every day. There have been 199 occupiers killed over the past day, 244 injured, and 15 taken into captivity.
So let's take to Ukraine. Our correspondent there is Hugo Bishega. He's in the capital, Kyiv. And Hugo, claim and counterclaim. This is normal, of course, in the way these things play out. But what do we know about what's happening on the ground, particularly in Bakhmut, because that's the area that has been subject to so much fighting?
Yeah, Ben, it's difficult to get a clear picture of what's happening, especially in the east of the country. So now we have the authorities here in Kyiv saying that Ukrainian forces have managed to make some gains around the city of Bakhmut, which has been the key target for Russian forces in the east of the country. Now, the Russians have denied that the Ukrainians have made a major breakthrough in that part of the country. Earlier today, we spoke with the commander in Bakhmut. He said the fighting in the city continues, but that Ukrainian forces have managed to make some gains around the city of Bakhmut. Now, what is interesting is that earlier today there was a statement from the Russian authorities, and they said that Ukrainian forces had carried out an offensive operation in a town near Bakhmut, the town of Soledar, which was captured by Russian forces back in January. Now, the Russians are saying that this offensive by the Ukrainian forces involved 1,000 troops and up to 40 tanks, and they said this operation was unsuccessful. We haven't had any reaction here from the Ukrainian authorities, but I think what is interesting is that this statement from the Russian authorities suggested that Russian troops had fallen back in one area near Bakhmut. So very difficult to get a clear picture of what's happening in that part of the country. Claims and counterclaims from both Russia and Ukraine. And obviously, Kyiv is preparing a major counteroffensive to try to take back territory that's now under occupation. Now, earlier this week, President Zelensky told me that the country still needed more time before it could launch this counteroffensive. The Ukrainian military was still waiting for some military equipment to arrive. So we're seeing these claims. It's difficult to say whether these Ukrainian attacks are part of a larger campaign, but I think it's fair to say that we'll only know that this counteroffensive has started when it's fully underway.
Yes, and of course we should probably expect that both sides here are very keen to downplay expectations, but the truth is the time is running out for Ukraine to launch that counteroffensive.
Yeah, I think there has been a major effort by the Ukrainian authorities to manage expectations ahead of this counteroffensive. I've been here for a few weeks, and I can tell you that almost every single conversation I've had has touched on the issue of this counteroffensive. Now, the Ukrainians know that there's a lot of pressure because they've received weapons and equipment from Western countries, and perhaps they know that it's not only about what happens on the battlefield. They know that any kind of result that is seen as disappointing by Western countries could change the level of support they've been receiving from Western countries. So I think that's why there's a lot of expectation and anxiety ahead of this counteroffensive.
Now, the US ambassador to South Africa has accused the country of supplying weapons to Russia, despite its professed neutrality in the war in Ukraine. The US claims the Admiral Gorshkov warship, seen here in Cape Town in February, was loaded with ammunition and arms in Cape Town at the end of last year. Well, let's speak to our correspondent Shingai Nyoka, who's in Johannesburg for us. Shingai, thanks for joining us. These allegations relate to a shipment in December. So why are we hearing about them now? Any idea?
Well, that's one of the key questions that many people are asking at the moment, Mark, especially following that there was a recent visit to the U.S. by a high-level South African delegation which visited Washington. And at that meeting, apparently this issue of this ship that had docked off the coast of Cape Town in December had been brought up by the U.S. officials. And South Africa says that they gave assurances there that the matter was being looked into. So they certainly seem to have been caught off guard by this very public announcement that was made by the U.S. ambassador yesterday at a local press conference. It's created a chilling of relations, certainly at a local level, between authorities here and the office of the ambassador, and them asking questions about why he would go about this outside of known diplomatic channels.
That's very interesting. So they actually had a chance to discuss it all face to face, and the Americans have come out with their conclusion publicly now. This announcement has hurt the South African economy, though, hasn't it? Because I guess South Africans are afraid that America may punish them by taking economic action. I guess people will also be looking to find out if there's going to be any more evidence produced.
Well, what it has done so far, Mark, is it certainly has not helped. The rand was already struggling in the last week or so because of current ongoing power cuts in the country that have also impacted the economy. And so there was some sort of reaction also after that announcement from the rand. So it certainly is coming at the worst possible time for South Africans. But the one thing that people are saying outside of the group that believe what has been presented is that the U.S. needs to present hard evidence. They've suggested that this wouldn't be the first time that the U.S. has acted on bad intelligence, mentioning, of course, that invasion of Iraq a few decades ago where there was information of weapons of mass destruction. They're saying this time around they would want concrete evidence before any decisions are taken on what should be done with this intelligence, and also what should happen to South Africa should it be found that they actively supplied those weapons to Russia to fight in that war with Ukraine.
And of course, there is a strong relationship between South Africa and Russia, separate from all of this, whether it's exporting food or capital equipment or South African companies investing billions in Russia itself.
Certainly, but there's also been a lot said, Mark, about the fact that that's actually negligible. In terms of dollar amounts, the US and Europe contribute far more to South Africa's economy than Russia contributes and conducts trade with South Africa. There's largely a belief that it's more historic than anything, a hang-up, if you will, from the days of the fight against apartheid, where members of the African National Congress were allowed to take refuge and get training in Russia, in Moscow, and it's a relationship that they've held very deeply and closely over the years. But on the ground, in terms of trade and in terms of alignment on policy issues, certainly on an international scale, South Africa seems to have more in common with the West than it does with Russia.
Aid agencies are bringing in more staff and whatever resources they have to help thousands of people fleeing the conflict in Sudan. The humanitarian needs are overwhelming. People arrive every day. Thousands are living in transit camps. Most are South Sudanese, waiting to move away from the border as quickly as possible. It's a logistical challenge.
I was working the European migrant and refugee crisis in 2015, and it took us weeks to set up a logistical system to help people move across the borders and to the destinations that they wanted. And South Sudan is a lot more complicated when it comes to accessibility, roads, enormous distances.
Aid agencies are appealing for an additional $96 million to assist people arriving here. The government is evacuating some refugees and returnees, but with few planes and resources, it's not enough. Sudan and South Sudan were one country until 2011. People in the south voted overwhelmingly for South Sudan to become an independent state. But the two still have strong economic and diplomatic ties, and what happens across the border will affect what happens here. That's why South Sudan is leading mediation efforts as part of the regional bloc IGAD to get Sudan's warring sides to stop fighting.
And that's why the government has decided to keep our embassy open in Khartoum. We are not going to vacate like the rest. We believe we are also Sudanese like them, and if they are in trouble, we need to be on the spot so that this communication can be encouraged.
The UN Refugee Agency expects 240,000 people to flee to South Sudan. A few weeks ago, many of these families had relatively ordinary lives. Now they find themselves with little or nothing at all. Harun Mutasa, Al Jazeera, Juba.
You were listening to the Midday News on WINNFM 98.9. The headlines?
The people will be asked this question, says Prime Minister Drew about St. Kitts and Nevis transitioning to a republic.
United Nations now involved in a case of Cameroonian refugees in St. Kitts. Guyana opposition wants to meet the EU electoral reform team. Prime Minister Gaston Brown reacts to cease and desist letter from Angela Bassett's lawyers. Internationally, Ukraine says it has recaptured ground in Bakhmut, a rare advance after months of grinding Russian gains in the eastern city. Russia denies Ukraine's claim. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador to South Africa has accused the country of supplying weapons to Russia despite its professed neutrality in the war in Ukraine. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com. When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king. Please drink responsibly.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. We have some callers on the line, so we'll head to the phone lines and we'll take these calls. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm giving thanks for life. And yourself?
Not bad at all, man.
Okay. I wish to weigh in on one of the matters.
Sure.
There's so many. Yeah. And the caller before the lunch break, it did touch, and we need to go deeper into some of the matters that arises from time to time. I think your first caller, when I called in, was speaking about the 6 regions of the African diaspora, which happens to be the 6 regions, according to 5 on the continent and the 6 which is out here. And rightly so, because we were brought out here and we have the expertise, so to speak. And so the African Union has thought it fit to inculcate us. Can you imagine Brazil is a part of the 6 regions, with Brazil having the largest African diaspora in the world outside of the continent? Yes. And so if one listens carefully to our leaders like Dr. Ericana Chirambori-Kwao, a medical doctor, she concluded, and she did it by analysis, that there is only 15%, 20% the most of the resources of Africa was exploited. And I agree, because why are there a re-scramble for Africa? A re-scramble. Those who have had want more, and there are new players on the scene now want more. It was Black Stalin sang a song a long time ago, for those of you know, Black Stalin. He said the more African they kill is the more Africans you see. So it's like putting this analogy towards the resources in Africa. It seems like the more they exploit is the more you see. So I beg to differ and to disagree with the sister who think that, okay, yes, these guys have extracted lots of minerals for many, many years, decades, and they are wealthy. But none of their wealth can surpass the wealth of Mansa Musa. Have you heard of Mansa Musa? The wealthiest man African at all times?
No.
It's caused like inflation everywhere he travels, including Egypt back then. Mansa Musa. So even though they have the wealthy people and they have extracted, we look at Africa as a country like China. Africa is almost 4 times the size of China, the space of China. America, China, India, and other countries can be put in Africa, and Africa has space. So it is disingenuous, unfair to say that the Europeans who have the wealth and they are there and they set up shop and they have the modern technology to extract the wealth, yes, they do. But the land belongs to the landlord of Africa, the kings, the indigenous kings, and they have an organization by the name of UCA. They have their own goal, and the caller before the last expounded on all these points. They have their own gold currency backed by the minerals in the earth in Africa, backed by the sun, backed by the rivers, backed by the caverns of old reservoirs, like lakes that are under the ground. Modern technology has allowed the world to see what Africa has. or else there would have never been a re-scramble for the continent. It's like the minerals are growing by leaps and bounds every day. So be of comfort. And we heard in the news about South Africa. We heard in the news about Sudan. We heard in the news about other places and the conflict in Africa. Yes. Would that deter me and others who have had the calling? No. Because we know what we are about. We're not going to endanger our lives and go right in the battlefield in the front line of the Sudan war, the Sudan conflict. No, we are clever enough. That is why we are here. But we are going to Africa to claim what is rightfully ours. It is our birthright to claim and to get ourselves out of this poverty-stricken. One thing the Prime Minister said yesterday, the African Exim Bank, he's sourcing to finance the solar panel project. Why are we, the nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis, look at Africa so, yet we are taking funding, and rightfully so, from the Bank of Africa. The bank, the People's Bank in Africa, they put up their collateral, and we are borrowing the money, rightfully so, because we are Africans also. So I just wanted to put that out there to say, well, wow, there's an African bank that petition government are going to borrow money from. Rightfully so, not the IMF, not the World Bank anymore, because those banks have such an exorbitant rate. And the way they do things is just to keep us in poverty. So rightfully so, Mr. Prime Minister, if you're going to borrow money from the African Exim Bank to finance solar panels, so be it. I allowed it. But I want our nationals to know that we have something to offer. We have had something to offer, and as the record speaks, Mansa Musa is still the wealthiest man. Can you imagine Bill Gates and Elon Musk put together doesn't have the amount of wealth that Mansa Musa has accumulated, even though he's not here. So that's my piece. Africa is much bigger than what we think. And I disagree with the sister, my good sister, that the Caucasian has all of the wherewithal and all of the wealth, and they can just extract. Mansa Musa did not have the modern technology to extract his wealth from the continent, but he was still the richest, and he is still the wealthiest man of all time. Thanks for listening.
And thank you, caller, for your contribution to this program. It is 12:45 here in the studios of WINNFM 98.9. We're taking your calls at 466-0989 or at 662-0989. If you are in the United States of America or Canada, you can call us at the following numbers: 718-285-6984 or 921-921-4619. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon again. How are you again?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Nice. Let me put some things a little bit more in the proper context. You know, before I start, let me say this. I heard a lady say, this was in the north, the land of the eagle, that a company that she was working for, they were working like in the section of the company that was sort of, let's say had more quote-unquote black people. And she said she remembered the day when, let me put it this way. It was decided that, quote-unquote, the black people would be referred to as African Americans. So she said when the manager came to the area and started saying, as of today, you will now be referred to as African Americans. And she did say, oh, mighty God. Yeah, long last. So she now started to write and, African. And she said right as she was there doing that, to write down and so on, there was, and I'm going to say exactly what came out of her mouth. He said there was a white woman, just a little from her left there. A white woman said to another white woman. They don't know who they are. So she said she was shocked. They don't know who they are. Right? And she couldn't have said anything because she did not know what to say. But I say all of this to say this. The thing about it is, we as a people, we don't know who we are. As a people, do you know we are not really black people? We are not black, you know. As a matter of fact, that word should not be used to describe us. But, you know, we say it and we think it because of our complexion and how it looks and so on. Fine, fair enough. I don't have any problem with that. But we truly don't know who we are. Who are we? Now, the thing about it is, they know who we are, but we don't. And when I say we, I mean as a race of people. Now, we're talking about Africa and all of these sort of things. And I agree with one of the callers. We own. We are not as badly off as we think we are. No, because the resources of the earth belong to us. The Lord gave us our skills and our talents and our abilities to rule this earth, to govern it. And I know it will be shocking to a lot of people, a lot of our people, when I say, if it wasn't for an African, what we call African black man, we would not have the internet, we would not have computer. Yes, we are brilliant. And that is why for centuries, up until today, everything possible is done to keep us in confusion, in disunity, to keep us in ignorance, as the case may be. They don't want us to wake up. Now, Paul itself says in the Christian Bible, and this is another thing that we need to understand, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. Right? Flesh and blood. Flesh and blood. A lot of people think that everybody that they see on this earth is of flesh and blood, but that is a discussion for another time. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. This system is ruled by the principalities, the powers, the rulers of darkness, and the spiritual wickedness in high places. Why? Because of our spiritual disobedience. As brilliant as we are, as rich as we are in terms of land resources and so on, I'm sorry to say, we don't control it right now, my brother. It may seem that way. Why is it? When our leaders have whatever meeting or conference, it cannot be they alone. Look and see who else is in there. And imagine they're there talking about all of their objectives, their goals, and their aspirations in front of who should not be there. What do you think will happen? The information is going there so they can use that now to bar you and block you. That's why we're not going anywhere. We're going around in circles. I forget the African country where China built. It is similar to, like, should I say, a headquarters or like a United Nations building, similar like that, where heads of African countries, some African countries, will meet and they will discuss whatever. One night, routine check by an African employee, brilliant in technology and so on. And they wear all of the wiring and the cords and all of that for the brain of the the computer, what you want to say, the internet and everything, where that central nerve meets. When he crossed there, he realized something happening that shouldn't happen. I guess maybe whatever buzzing, whatever light was flickering, but something that shouldn't have happened. I'm not technologically versed, so I can't explain it the way it should be explained because some time has passed over. But be it as it is, he noticed something that shouldn't happen there. And so he started doing his check. And when he realized what he realized, leading back all throughout the building was bugged. Even in the area where those men need to have their conferences and where they talk, everything was bugged. And when he checked, that system was, what should I say? It was plugged into the system in China. So every time those Africans move, people in Beijing or wherever in China could use or push whatever button, and they are the invisible persons in that room hearing everything. My people, we have to understand that this system we're living in is real. And as one person said earlier, we are not the same. We believe that we are all the same. We are not the same. There is a war going on this earth. A war. Everybody else knows who they are, but we don't. And we feel like in giving in and in allowing others to come in, there will be peace on earth among all of us. It's not going to happen. We're only just exposing ourselves. We're only just exposing ourselves. And many of us are going to die off because the mentality that we have, it is not for that new place. This mentality that we were given. Even some people who have them, who will go and say that they are African and African conscious and so on. They are not. They don't know who they are. Because nobody who claims to be of African consciousness would take unto themselves a partner who looks different to him. The daughters who is the enemy that come from the enemy camp. Where you going to go in that new land? With this same system, the principalities that we're talking about, and the powers and the rulers of darkness? Where you going? So many people will have to die off. And I know this doesn't sound good in some people's ears because some people still talking about oneness among everybody. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And if we think it's going to happen, think again. Lastly, I'm going to keep saying it. We are a rich people, mighty people. But right now, we are defeated because of our spiritual disobedience. Whatever result we expect to get, we cannot get it in our own desire. We want to go about it alone. And this is not really to say we're finding a crutch. We're not depending on anything to say, well, oh God, you're leaning on God, as some people will pray. And instead of them get up and help themselves, they're sitting down praying and for God to think, right? But we're talking about a spiritual thing. We are too disobedient. Our change around, people don't want to do what they have to do. So we will continue on the path of disobedience, and it will continue. But like I said, this system, when the time is appointed, it will come to an end. We right now here can't do nothing. It's the system that controls, the principalities that control the system. We are not part of that, so it doesn't matter. Whatever grouping they have right now here, and they pretend to be like we are at the table, that is only a deflection to make people feel like this is all inclusive. It is not so. It's all part of strategy. Have a blessed day, Mr. Moderator.
All right, you too, caller, and thank you so much for your contribution to the discussions for today. You're listening to Voices right here on WINNFM 98.9 for Friday, May 12, 2023. It's 12:58, just 2 minutes before the 1 o'clock hour. We'll head back to the phone lines and we'll get some more callers in to share their views and opinions. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, Devon, quickly, this is Journey here again. I just want to say to the sister who just spoke, the country that the Chinese bugged the building was in Ethiopia. Devon, you see how important it is for us to come together as a people? Let me ask you a question, Devon. Do you have any intention, or would you like to go to America or Europe? Devon?
Sorry?
Do you have any intention, or would you like to visit America or Europe?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Now, I'm not going to ask you for what reason, but this is how we are, Devon. We are a people who want to say, I have been to America, I have been to Europe, and that includes me, Devon, because I visited 2 museums, one in London and one in Paris, and I visited a museum in California. And all that I have seen in these museums, Devon, is African, evidence of African creativity. I've seen nothing in these museums in London, Paris, California that represent Europeans. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have their own culture and anything that they have to show that they invent. And when they put in the scripture, thou shalt not worship any graven images except unto this God that they gave us, Devon. All of our graven images are in their museum and they're making billions out of it. It is a fact. But here we are, Devon. We want to say, I have been to America, I have been to Europe. But none of us want to go to our own continent. And make no mistake, Devon, all of those arts that they have in the museum, they came from the continent of Africa. And you see this tragedy that they're giving us where Egypt is today. That just a year and a half ago, they opened up this massive museum in Cairo. Well, we know that this Cairo that they put now geographically is not the Egypt Cairo that they took our art from. Devon, everything is skewed against the black, Hueman. Note that I spell Hueman, but like the sister just said, we don't know who we are. And this is my cry because they know what they're lacking. And they know who we are, but we don't know. We don't know. You see, we see God outside of ourselves, all the physical attributes of God outside of ourselves. Let me repeat this, Devon. Our concept of God is that we see God outside of ourselves in all the physical attributes of God outside of ourselves. I want Mrs. Henry to hear, and the Christian former police officer down in Harvard Tree. Because while we are worshiping an invisible myth in the sky, we are the gods from the beginning that have created everything in the duality of male and female, Devon. The new agenda right now on the continent globally is the LGBTQ agenda. A program was on Freedom on Monday night where a guy break down climate change, Devon. Climate change is not just in the weather. Climate change, and I relate to everything that he said, because climate change is to prevent repercussion of life, Devon, because male and male cannot repercute, and that is why European has given us father and son in the King James book. You don't see how deep this is, Devon, but it is deep, because they have our blueprints when they destroy. And remember, take this into account, Devon. All of this started in opposition opposition. The one that was cast out was in opposition. And those, they are amongst us on this earth because they were fallen. And that represents the pale fallen star that was cast out. Devon, if you look across the sky at night and you see a star pitch, from point A to point B, as it pitch, it fade and it die. But because that one that was cast out and that legion that were with him, they become weak because energy cannot die. We are spiritual beings, Devon, just take on the form of flesh. When we die, we don't die. We only transitioned. But the life you live here on this physical plane would determine where you spend eternity with the Creator. Creators, Devon, the two that said, let us make man in their image and likeness. We have to look beyond what is written in the Word that is keeping us suppressed. Devon, this is deep. Read Deuteronomy chapter 28 and you see all that they put there. That's why they're having us at their feet begging at the International Bank and the IMF. When we're supposed to be the lender and at the head, it is, Devon.
All right.
I don't know how much you know about the scripture, Devon, but take a look at Deuteronomy 28 and read Genesis 1, 2, and 3 and tell me what you get from that, Devon. Thank you for hearing me.
And thank you, Carl, for your contribution. Let's take a short break to acknowledge our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation right here on 98.9.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Here are your Horsford's Value Club Blue Tag Special.
Running May 4 to the 17th.
Now your Value Club Blue Tag Specials. Pillsbury Cake Mix, just $6.49. Bush Baked Beans, $7.99. Essential Everyday Grated Parmesan, $11.99. Essential Everyday Frozen Fries, just $13.99. Bounty Essential Paper Towel, $39.99. Pringles Chips is just $8.49. And now your very low weekly
value deals. Gatorade, $4.49. Mueller's Pasta, $5.99. Kellogg's Special K, $15.49. Minute Maid Punches, $8.99. Essential Everyday Salsa, $9.99. Dial Soap 3-pack, $9.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en Value Mart.
Welcome back to the program. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take some more calls. Seem to have lost that caller. Let's head to the phone line too. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Good afternoon.
Yes, I don't normally call in, but I think you should put a time limit on some of these callers. Because that lady before that last gentleman to speak, and that last one, oh my God. They either lost their conscience or they didn't born with one. Come on. Right now I'm so vexed, I refuse to speak. Thank you.
Caller, do you have a contribution that you'd like to make? All right, thank you, caller. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take some more calls. Hello, caller. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Devon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. I listened to your news at midday, right? And this is in reference to Prime Minister Gaston Brown of Antigua. I remember several decades ago, the Antiguan government was regarded, even by their own citizens, as being high-handed and corrupt. But they tolerated it because they were getting a little piece of the action, you know. So they closed their eyes to all of that. They also tolerated the kind of in-your-face, boorish arrogance on the part of their leaders, right? We had that here as well in the Federation, but I think that times are changing, and people are turned off from the kind of spin and double-speak and double standards that our leaders demonstrate. And I don't think they will get away with that type of leadership style any longer. And it's just a matter of time before Gaston Brown finds that out. Both he and Gaston Brown and company, shall we say, find that out. Because people have much higher expectations now, right? They're better educated, and they're less likely to stand for subterfuge and trickery and those kinds of things, right? The government that they choose now had better deliver, otherwise they're going to feel the wrath of the electorate, right? And people are more skeptical now too, right? Because based on past experience, they don't trust the people that they elect like they once did. Once ago, it was pretty much whatever their leaders said, they followed. Now I don't think that is the case at all. Okay? They're more likely to listen to what the leaders say with a grain of salt. So I think they're harder to fool now, and they're going to fire the questions left and right, and the answers had better be forthcoming, right? It's just an observation that I wanted to make, that things are not like they used to be. Some people feel that there's no change between the politics of now and that of yesteryear, but I feel otherwise. I get the impression that people are no longer as blindly led as before. Okay, so let's see how that translates on the ground, but I suspect quite a few of us are going to be in for, presently we'll be pleasantly surprised, I think, by how our population is going to be evaluating the leadership and how they are going to react to the different leadership styles and the what is said and what is delivered, those kinds of things, right? I don't think it's business as usual anymore. But just an observation I wanted to make.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. It's 12 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour here in the studios of WINNFM 98.9. And let me just use this opportunity to say thank you for your contribution to the discussion that we've had for the first and now into the second hour. Thank you so much for your calls. People have been weighing in on a number of different matters here in St. Kitts and Nevis. In following what's going on, or in following the conversation on social media, there are a lot of talk, or the major talking point is about housing in St. Kitts and Nevis, and this renewed, I don't want to say renewed interest, but the conversation came back into or was reintroduced because it was announced by the government that they will be constructing, I think, over 2,000 smart homes. There were some questions about the contractor or contractors. The Prime Minister spoke yesterday at his roundtable discussion, and he said that people in St. Kitts and Nevis will be able to benefit from the construction of these homes. Of course, the obvious, not just living in them, but the construction where they will get the opportunity to be a part of, roof, plumbing, electrical work, and the list goes on and on and on. Questions were also asked, would any of these homes be built in Nevis? I asked that question. Would there be a partnership between the NHC here in St. Kitts and the NHLDC in Nevis? Yes, the NHLDC in Nevis is responsible for constructing homes on Nevis. But I think that's a good conversation discussion that should be had between both corporations as to whether any of those homes will be going over to the island of Nevis. And I believe that should have been a conversation between the Prime Minister and the Premier of Nevis. People have also been talking about the St. Kitts and Nevis is showing at the coronation of King Charles III, and the Prime Minister has commented on our nation transitioning to a republic status or state. St. Kitts and Nevis, with other countries, were represented at the coronation of King Charles III. The Prime Minister, in a recent interview on BBC, said that we're not entirely free with King Charles, as the head of state. The question was put to him, when will that process begin for us to become a republic? The Prime Minister said, well, it will be up for the people to decide. Hinting, public consultation and all of that. But if this is something that we are going to pursue, of course, I'm not saying we rush it. We take our time. But I am all for the public being involved in this process and for them to give their take on St. Kitts and Nevis, whether we remain as it is right now, with the British monarch as the head of state, or we remove the British monarch as the head of state. So those have been two major talking points when you listen to the conversations that are being had in St. Kitts and Nevis. It is 17 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour. The phone lines are open and we'll continue taking your calls. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, Devon, quickly. I just want to say to Mr. McMahon, I kind of chuckle when I hear him say Gaston Brown and Company. I am surprised McMahon is not really calling out names. And I'm asking McMahon this afternoon, Devon, when he calling on freedom, I want him to point out what he's actually saying. By refraining to call names and saying Gaston Brown and Company, I want Mr. Mahan to clarify for me if he have something to say to our Prime Minister. Are you following me, Devon? Because for Mr. Mahan to be saying Gaston Brown and company, we all listen to what the Prime Minister has said. So I'm begging Mr. McMahon, I know he's going to listen on freedom. Mr. McMahon, please let us know what you mean by Gaston Brown and company. Call names if you have to. Thank you.
Thank you, caller, for your contribution to this program. The 19 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls at 466-0989, 662-0989. Let's head back to the phone lines. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, caller, good afternoon.
Yes, and good afternoon to the listeners home and abroad. Carl Brown here. I want to talk about the housing solution that this government is bringing on board. Let me tell you something, sir. Right? Up to now, nobody is saying how much money this company from Trinidad is going to pay NHC and the government for these lands that they're going to be building the houses on. Did you hear any amount of money for all the time this discussion is going on? For how much this company is going to pay for the lands? Remember, the lands are not the one here. The lands belong to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Right? And all you're hearing, sir, is that this company is going to 100% finance, right, this housing solution. And this housing solution going to start in 2023 until 2027. They are going to build 2,400 houses. Right? How much millions they are going to be paying the state or the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis for these lands they are going to be building these houses on? Have you any report, have you news media report anything on how much money this company from Trinidad is going to be paying NHC and the government for these lands?
Oh, sorry. Let me turn this around. I cannot recall the actual amount, so I can't speak to it. I don't know.
Because they have not spoke to it yet. All they have spoke to, right, is that this company is putting in 100% of building these houses, right? And they are coming with this new. That technology is not new, sir. We have been doing this technology here for many, many, many years. So they are not coming with no new technology. We have been doing it all the time. Our contractors have been doing it for many, many years, right? It's nothing new they are bringing. Right? But all this program is to give millions of dollars, right, to a foreign company, right? And let me tell you now, I'm going to prophesy now. This company is going to falter just like companies before from Trinidad. I'm going to give you some history, sir. Over Douglas, and I think Social Security had to